All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Deconstructing Islam with your co-hosts, myself, Rami Rustam, and Usama Al-Binni. This is a
You said
weekly...
good. You said good morning. Well, who knows? Maybe the people watching are somewhere else.
Did I say good morning? I think I said just hello. You might be hearing things,
Maybe
hearing what you want to hear.
that's what
We're doing
happens.
a link.
Well,
What is
that's
it?
what happens when you're indoctrinated. You start hearing what's the indoctrination inside your brain
Maybe
tells.
we should talk about that one day, but it's kind of hard to tell, when you're being indoctrinated. Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Everyone who's ever been indoctrinated didn't know they were being indoctrinated.
If they knew, if they already knew, it's like when you look at some of the initial treatments of certain neuroses that Freud proposed. If you develop self-consciousness of what you're actually doing, catching yourself in the act, so to speak, then you have a way of actually breaking loose of that loop that causes you to do whatever it is that you're doing. That's for neurosis.
Similarly, yeah, or by the same logic, or this is the same thing you're saying, I think. If you can notice a bias you have, then you can work against that bias.
Yeah, once you include self-consciousness in this, it disrupts the loop in some way. It doesn't have to be just resolving it. It could be adding complications. I'm not saying
Sure. But anyway, that's where free will comes in.
Well,
That's where it slips in.
I don't think that this is free will, but that's your opinion.
It sounds like just semantics then.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to define it that way, yeah, sure, we all have free will. But in reality, all that you're doing is just including this self-reflective aspect of it. But it's
a question of, can you escape the matrix or not?
Yeah, the external matrix. The internal matrix, you will never be able to escape.
Never be able to. We got to talk about that.
Okay.
So we're going to be taking call-ins today. There's a link in the chat. We'll also answer questions from the chat. We're going to do a new thing today, a poll question. Let me get it here. Go to the comments.
Well, that's to let the viewers know. Rami didn't want to tell me about that. It's a surprise. So I'm in the dark about that as well.
All right. Let's put it on the screen here. And actually, let me go make sure the link works. Okay, the link works. So please, if you're interested in this, hello, Cold Storm. If you're interested in the poll question, let me go ahead and read it out. If your child wanted to be a Muslim, would you use force to stop them? And anyway, it's a poll question in my YouTube polls or whatever. There's the link. And by the end of the this episode, we're going to give the results and then, of course, talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I have quite a few things to say about that, but let's see the results in case someone actually does. Hopefully, people will be participating in it.
Okay, so let's get to the main topic.
Well, before moving on, is that poll going to be available also after the live, or is it going to close after this?
I've never done it before. We will find out.
Because because this means that the results could be fluid if you let this.
I'm guessing you could end it at some point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll find out. So let us work on here. All right. First post I had ready to work on. Islam is scientific in quotes ruined my day. Was just watching a video about Isaac Newton. Went into the comments section. Person was making the usual joke. Okay, all of a sudden there's a Muslim reply basically saying how Muhammad discovered gravity and Isaac Newton is nothing but a stealer of his prophet's ideas. Why include your religion in everything? It's a video about a physicist. You don't have to prove that everything in your Quran is scientific. It's a religious text. Keep it that way. I'm guessing you can tell why I wanted to reply to this. What do you think? Do you know? What do you want to say to this person?
Well, there are various things. I'm actually already wondering what kind of video about Newton is going to be attracting Muslims to start making comments. Is that even in English to begin with? Because if it is in English, what kind of channel? Is it a kind of a polemical channel that instigated some Muslims to start looking at that video as something that requires that kind of reply? So that's one aspect of this, and it feels that whoever is replying was obviously replying without having some enough scientific background to know really what Newton was doing. But probably more importantly, people don't understand who Newton was in terms of his religious views, because Newton was an extremely religious person with a lot of nonsense going into his thinking. In fact, most of his life was not even dedicated to doing physics. Most of his life was trying to read into the Bible things that were not there, looking for numerical secrets and patterns and stuff of the sort that you wouldn't associate with a scientist of his caliber. But yet that was definitely his main occupation for most of the remainder of his life. He spent doing that. So that's the aspects that don't have to do with the reaction itself. I still have more that can be said about that. What do you think?
Well, the reason I wanted to reply to this, if I remember correctly, was to talk about something we talk about all the time. I think I didn't really think about it till you brought it up, which is, if you go back a few hundred years, Muslims weren't trying to fit or to make science and Islam reconcile, but now they are. And what it means is they have a respect for science now. And maybe they didn't a few centuries ago.
That's not how I read it.
How do you read it?
Okay. So if they did have a respect for science, you would see them flocking to build research institutes and universities and so on. That's not the issue. What I think is happening is that they have a respect for technology, not for science. But they understand that science is the basis for that.
So they have a respect for the distant conclusions and useful things we get out of the process of science.
Yeah. And so if you have enough money, you can go buy enough technology, and then you would have the same veneer that the West is showing. Well, the West is producing the actual science. You can look a little bit like them. So if you go to many of the richer Muslim countries, you won't be able
to. Let me ask you this: go back 500 years. Did they not have a respect for all those technologies?
Well, the technologies that were there were not as life transformative and as prevalent as what we have today.
So back then, it would have been sort of okay to be flippant about the technologies because there wasn't that much of it anyway.
Yeah.
But now you would look insane if you're like, oh yeah, we don't need a phone or tires.
Yeah, all these things now are mass produced. So someone who is in a very poor neighborhood in a very distant place in, I don't know, wherever it is, in Africa, South America, they would have the same type of technology that someone in a rich country would have. And so they do have an appreciation of that technology. And obviously the possessing the source of that technology is power. So what's happening here from the perspective of Muslims, and this is something I talked about before several times, is that there is a kind of a cultural envy here, that the West is progressing. The West is showing that it has a kind of a dominance through that ability to control technology, to produce scientific research, and so on. But on the other hand, we have the actual truth. We have the final truth. So it must be the case that if you look in our history, you will find all this. In fact, you will find that they were stealing from us. They because they don't have the truth. It must be that they're building on something that we have. So it's a kind of an inferiority complex that ties up very closely to the tribalism that drives much of the ambition of Islam to propagate against the other tribes, so to speak.
Another aspect is it may not even be that they're having a respect for the technologies, and it could just be they recognize that pretty much everyone bought in and respect science, or at least the conclusions of the technologies. And so in order to make Islam palatable to these people, you would have to at least show that you respect science.
Again, I don't think it's an issue of respecting science. I think it's about power, not science.
I think that's what I just said.
Yeah, but the thing here is that science itself doesn't really factor in. Otherwise, you would see them really invest in science. So
I think that's what I just said.
Maybe
I just said it's not the science. It's not even the end conclusions of the science. It's that they already know, everyone already bought in. So the only way to make Islam palatable to people is to just lie and say we're doing the same thing you guys are doing.
Yeah, but for the most part, this is
actually a power grab.
For the most part, this is mainly an intra-Islamic thing, something that Muslims discuss amongst themselves. It's not about going to the West. Oh, we're better than you because of this and this, because you stole from us. No, this is something for Muslims to console themselves. I'm saying Muslims here in a kind of a vague way, because this overlaps with some of them belonging to civilizations that themselves feel that they did not succeed in the competition of nations after the 20th century. Let me just bring up an idea. It might be a kind of a quote, but it's an idea that has been floating around. I think it was propagated initially by Muhammad Mutwalli Sha'rawi, who's an Egyptian cleric that lived in the 20th century, died maybe 20, 30 years ago. I remember seeing him on TV almost every Friday, so he was very popular, still is. So one thing that he said, I think it was him, was that it's okay for us to use the technology of the West, because what happened was that God has given us the real knowledge, the real truth, and these are, in a way, slave nations that are meant there to provide us with services, provide us with these technologies. We don't have to get into these technologies because we possess the truth. So that's a kind of an alternative view of some people who see this a little bit differently.
All right. So what I did here is, since your answer wasn't like mine, I just put my name on it.
Right. Yeah. No, that's definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. That way you don't have to say, that's not what I say. And I think we said pretty much the same thing. There's 3 different levels of stuff here, though. Respecting science, respecting technologies that came out of it, or just a power grab of acting like you agree with so many people that already agree with these things.
Yeah. Let me add something, for example, about philosophy, for example. And this is a very, very specific situation, because, but it's indicative of something a little bit wider. So I'm sure everybody knows Descartes' cogito. I think, therefore I am. So cogito ergo sum. So that's the Latin version of it. Now, before Descartes, there was a Muslim cleric slash philosopher named
Descartes,
Al-Ghazali.
like 1700s.
Yeah. There was this cleric slash philosopher who was replying to another Muslim. The first one I'm going to be talking about is Al-Ghazali, who I think he was in Andalusia slash Spain and was replying to Ibn Rushd, Averroes. And one of the things that he developed seemed very similar to what Descartes said in his meditations. There's a claim, I'm not sure what kind of veracity value it has, that Descartes had a copy of Al-Ghazali's work in his library. And therefore they say, well, actually Descartes stole at least, let's say, stole some of his ideas from Al-Ghazali.
Without giving him credit is the point.
Yeah, because he never actually mentions anything about him in the meditation. I'm not sure if he mentions something about him elsewhere, but let's say that he did have some copy of that work. Does that mean he stole it? Plagiarizing.
I mean, sometimes it's an accident. Sometimes I'll have an idea and I'm not sure where I got it. I may have got it from someone else, but it's difficult to tell.
Yeah, but
when I learned it 20 years ago or something.
Exactly, but some of these things can be considered to be low-hanging fruit in terms of people can arrive at the same idea in different ways, and it can serve different purposes. Like, for example, the most common example is calculus, how Leibniz and Newton arrived basically at the same thing. And they started saying, I'm the one who discovered calculus. No, I'm the one who discovered it. It's pretty much the same thing.
They both did.
Yeah.
Independently.
There are several examples in the theory of evolution, quantum mechanics. You have people arriving at exactly the same thing in different versions, more or less at the same time.
Because of the zeitgeist at the time.
Yeah, there are very, very complicated situations where you have something that matures enough that makes this idea so easy to see through the patterns of whatever it is that you're trying to research.
All right, you want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
So, guilt holding me back from leaving. Typical story of 18-year-old Daisy UK girl with an extremely religious father who weaponizes it for control, it being Islam, I guess. I still live with him, but hoping I get the opportunity to move out soon. I thought the extremism was just a him thing, but I've been thinking more about it, or the intricacies of the religion that never made sense to me. Mostly issues around feminism, homosexuality, general patriarchy. At this point, I don't feel anything for Islam. It's been pushed on me since I was born, and I feel I, of all people, have enough knowledge to decide that Islam is not something to blindly follow. Nothing is worth blindly following. But anyway, nowadays, when I listen to khutbahs, all I can think about is how this is a classic example of cult indoctrination. I still feel the guilt, though. Sometimes I randomly remember that I'd be condemned for these thoughts and that my lack of iman is a failure on my part. I wonder if she means condemned by human beings or by God. And then let me finish this. How are you supposed to overcome this religious guilt? I want to live my life freely, but going about without a hijab feels so scary. Plus the chance that someone I know will see me. So there's the human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I might convince my white non-Muslim friend to help by eating pork with me so I can try overcome. So it's an internal thing, and it is human beings. I wonder if any of it is like when she said the condemned part. I wonder if she means condemned like in hell. Should we ask?
Well, I think that if someone is being indoctrinated in something as she recognizes, then when you're feeling some form of guilt is usually something that has an internal and an external aspects of it, the accountability that you have towards others, and then you have that kind of accountability towards an internal other, which is God, supposedly. So I think it's not a contradiction to say that both can be true at the same time.
Oh, I'm probably connected. Yeah. I'm sure people have trouble separating them.
Yeah.
Similar to separating fear of death with fear of hell.
Yeah. So whenever you're talking about that guilt that you would have for doing something because God is seeing you, you're talking about a kind of a generalized other that is always with you, unlike other people. But it's still an other person, so it's not you. Otherwise, you would not. Why would you feel guilt about something with yourself? You're feeling guilt in respect with respect to someone else.
So I think the kind of advice this kind of person would need, first of all, I'll say a lot of people seem to be looking for advice that seems to be like very specific to ex-Muslims and this particular issue. And I think a lot of times they would be fine with general advice that has nothing to do with religion or Islam in particular, or religion even in general.
Yeah.
You know, the misplaced guilt that parents put on you. It's atheists do it. So maybe we can talk about that. I recommend you look at this from a non-religious perspective. Lots of parents, including atheists, how do I say this? I want a verb here. Try to infuse, I don't know, infuse unearned guilt into their children and succeed a lot.
Yeah, parents are a source of authority, whether it's as the poster is talking about this from the perspective of the male hierarchy aspect that has to do with Islam, or just any kind of person who has authority. They're going to be able to impose that authority, amongst other things, through guilt. This means that she obviously respects her father on many levels, obviously, and respects part of his authority, but at the same time, she's rejecting that authority. And the tension that's happening inside is what we're seeing right now. There is love and respect, obviously, towards the parent, but at the same time, she wants to break loose, and there's no way to have both of them at the same time. So at one point, there's going to be some kind of a resolution to this. Ideally, as she describes, she's going to be leaving home, which I think is going to keep the relationship with the father, but put him at some distance. That way, she can lead her life the way that she wants to, the way that she feels is going to be satisfying. But at the same time, someone who's 18, who's at this kind of age where you're a teenager but you're an adult at the same time, this kind of transition is always going to be true, regardless of whether you have issues related to religion, whether you have an issue with the parent or not. So I would say that's
where I would say it wouldn't apply is in a scenario where the parents are not acting like dictators and they're not indoctrinating their kids with unearned guilt. Then it wouldn't be an issue. I don't see how it could be an issue in that scenario.
It's not that it's invariably going to happen. It depends on many different circumstances. But like you said at the beginning, this is not something specific to religious parents. It could have some other contexts. After all, when you're looking at religion, religion is not the only way that people can abuse power. So parents can have all sorts of reasons and thoughts that might lead to something similar.
We're not giving any advice here. Should we give some advice?
Well, whenever I'm talking about someone who is underage, they probably need to be a little bit patient. If she's been able to wait for most of her teenage years in order to break loose of this, I think waiting a little bit more, since she's already 18, can cause her, can give her the opportunity to create a kind of a graceful exit, instead of having this as happen in a kind of an explosive way that might unnecessarily have unintended consequences. So I would definitely wait a little bit. I'm not saying that she should not
Wait to do what?
wait until she gets out of her home, because obviously she wants to move
Wait to do
out,
what?
to start her own life away from that kind of authority.
Well, what she asked for was, how do I get rid of the guilt? So that's what I thought we are going to be addressing.
Right. Well, the guilt, if I want to think about the guilt, this is a kind of a process, like you were saying earlier when you were discussing how much time you would need in order to recover from some kind of a traumatic issue. It's going to take time. This is a process.
Yeah, well, what I fear about that statement is people think time will do it. Time does nothing. You could do all the wrong actions and time fixes nothing. You got to do the right things during that time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying that you're going to be
But it also does need a long time of doing all those right things.
Yeah, obviously, since she is already propelled to move forward through this, it's something that has a power of its own that's going to have her interact with this. It's not going to happen only passively. She's also going to be trying to get herself out of this feeling of guilt anyway.
So I recommend journaling and therapy. And I always say now, if you can't get a human therapist, then I recommend using ChatGPT as your therapist until you get a human one. And I tell them I have advice on how to do these things. Let me know. I'll give you links. Mm-hmm. Good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next one. As an atheist, do you have a problem with the idea that bad people will not be tormented in eternal fire, hellfire? Some say this is inhumane. I guess the hellfire is inhumane, not them not putting them in hellfire. But I truly believe that there are many people who deserve eternal torment.
No, maybe I think inhumane probably means eternal torment, the eternal aspect of this. Yeah. I feel that eternality is part of what the poster means.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure that we should reply just to her question, because all we would be saying is no. What should we be saying here?
Well, I don't think there's any kind of well, let's back up a little bit. So suppose that someone does a crime. Does punishing that person do anything in terms of fixing things? It
makes this person feel better.
It makes the person feel better, yes, but is that going to repair whatever has been damaged? If someone killed someone and you just killed that other person in return, is that going to bring the person back or do anything in terms of that?
No, but when I ask that question, the way they reply is, well, it makes my heart whole again. That's what I care about.
No, it's not going to make your heart whole again. All that's going to happen is you're going to get a sense of fake relief, but you're still mourning for that person who died.
Unless, I mean, I don't. By the way, I don't really know. You know, like I can make a guess, like you are too. They also don't know. It's not like they've done this before. You know, somebody murdered their family member. Now they're in court and they're like, yeah, I want that guy to go to jail and be raped in prison. And they imagine that's how they would be, but they've never done it before. There's very few people that have done it more than once, you know what I mean, that have had to go through that experience more than once. And they could say, oh, I remember how this happened to me 10 years ago. So
yeah.
They're just assuming how they would be.
Okay, here's the thing. There are two different parts to this. The first part is this punishment in principle idea, which does have some merits, but not as a kind of a retribution. Rather, it's from the point of view of doing some kind of punishment as imprisonment or something of the sort. It's just an issue to take the person away in case they're going to be doing more harm, create some form of deterrent, and if possible, if the person has a way of being reformed, that would be the better way of doing it. Retribution in the sense of revenge, I don't think is enough of a justification, but it seems to be something that is in human nature, and people would expect, yes, someone did something bad to me, they have to be punished in some way, otherwise I'm not going to be getting any kind of satisfaction. So that's one part of it. The other part, which seems to be the main idea here, is eternal punishment, and definitely not. I don't think that there is any kind of crime, no matter what it is. If you annihilate the entire humanity, it's not commensurate with having eternal punishment.
I don't know what to say without sounding like an asshole. So what's the point of delivering the punishment? Just for us to feel good? So we're masochists? What's a masochist?
Well, probably you mean sadist.
Sadist. What's a masochist?
Masochist who enjoys torment. You're trying to inflict torment on someone else, so you're probably going to be a sadist.
Oh, masochist is wanting it done to yourself.
Yes.
Sadist.
With a D.
Huh?
With a D. Not a T.
With a D. Someone who derives pleasure from the pain and suffering of others. But isn't it more like, isn't sadist like that would apply to anyone, not just in a revenge scenario? Like, if I'm a sadist, I enjoy I get pleasure from the pain of others, even if I don't know them, and has nothing to do with revenge.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with the revenge itself.
Yeah. So it's a sadist, but only for revenge. A revenge sadist.
Yeah. But the idea of eternity and either getting eternal punishment or eternal reward, I don't think it's even meaningful. If you're thinking about a kind of an equivalent recompense, whatever it is that you're doing in, I mean, if you grant the idea that it's possible to have some kind of an afterlife and those eternal rewards and punishments, there is absolutely nothing that you can do within 70, 80 years of life that makes it worth to have either punishment or reward that extends until eternity. I don't think anybody really knows what eternity means. We're not talking about a trillion years, a trillion years. We're talking about an infinite number of years. This is not even something that we have a conception of. So no, absolutely not.
So I added this sentence. I would question why that makes one feel good.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, whatever that thing is that's making you feel good, when someone else is in pain that you're doing revenge for or whatever. I'm absolutely sure that thing is affecting you in this life now.
Yeah.
And in the way you're dealing with people.
Yes. So usually when it comes to wishing that kind of eternal punishment, it means that somehow you're not satisfied with the current situation. But we're living in this life. If you want some kind of an actual effect, go and make a change in this life. You're not going to be having anything in terms of satisfaction other than this feeling. Oh yeah, right now I'm sure that Hitler must be frying in hell or whatever it is that might be happening, and that's going to happen for all eternity. Okay, wishful thinking.
Okay, so we're done with this one?
I guess, yeah.
Oops. All right, those are all the ones that I sent you. This is a different one. And this is actually not a post somebody else made. We're doing something else here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a question. How is it? So we're planning for the August 22nd Apostasy Day. And I was asked, we want to have a discussion section. And I was asked, what should we discuss? And I thought it should be this. What are the main obstacles to ending apostasy laws worldwide? And how do we overcome them? And I started a post in the Exmuslim subreddit to get other people to chime in.
Mm-hmm.
So we have more, basically to help us for that August 22nd. I worded it a little bit differently. I put in here, first I added, what do you think in front of it? What do you think are the main obstacles? And then 2 bonus questions. What do you think is the best approach to overcoming those obstacles? And what do you think most people misunderstand about the first 2 questions? I haven't gotten much answering these yet. People replying really just were answering what they thought was the main obstacle. I got some interesting replies. One of them was, let's see if I can find it. It connects to something that I talked to you about a while ago when I asked you, the Islamic world changed on slavery, and maybe another item. So what I had asked you was, can the same kind of change happen for apostasy? And I don't remember who it was. Somebody replied saying, here it is, I think, actually. They said, if in the schools, they now teach that slavery is wrong. In the Islamic schools, in the Muslim majority countries, they teach kids that slavery is wrong.
No.
They don't? This person, that's what they were saying.
Okay. So it might be varying by country, but I can tell you that in almost all the Arabic-speaking countries that I know of, there is no outright condemnation of slavery. And for me personally, going through an education that emphasized that, it wasn't given as wrong as such. It was a legitimate way of acquiring people through war. And one of the reasons why Muslims need slaves to begin with in constant supply is because there are ways to atone for certain sins that require you to liberate a slave. In some sense, you need those slaves to be liberated as a kind of a source for providing that recompense. So maybe there has been a big change that has been happening in the curricula. I haven't been checking recently, But for my own experience, learning through the schooling system in Jordan, this was not condemned outright. It was viewed as something that needs to be abolished within the Muslim society, but acquiring slaves through war was not something that's considered to be wrong.
Interesting. Somebody else said we should shame them, Muslims, for apostasy laws as his way of, that's how we get rid of it. And then when I asked him, don't you think we need to be like educating with criticism? And if so, how do you see that different than shaming? And he didn't really answer. And it looked like it was the same thing.
I don't think they're going to view it as a kind of a shameful thing to begin with. It's very hard to.
Well, this guy's saying we should shame them. So I wonder what he means. How would you shame somebody for something that they don't even think is wrong?
Exactly.
How do you shame them exactly?
Exactly. So they don't. They view that someone apostatized. They need to be punished in one way or another. In fact, they if you look at what is it called? There is a unified pan-Arab law, something, I forgot its name exactly, that agreed on certain common laws back in the 90s. I don't know if they amended it since then, but all the Arab countries were signatories on a law that considers apostasy as a crime.
Yeah, I learned about that from these meetings. I didn't know. Yeah, what is it? The League of Arab Nations?
Yeah.
They upholded, apostasy laws for all of us.
So if it's something that you have in the laws, this is not something that they're shamed about or can be shamed about. It's really.
Well, I think what they mean by shaming is to say, is as an example, is to explain why apostasy laws are wrong and then say, and you're evil if you don't agree. That's what they mean by shaming, I guess.
Let me give you an example of someone who went through this whole thing for blasphemy, not for apostasy, but the two basically glide into one another. In Mauritania, a guy named Mohammed Mkhaitir wrote something that was viewed as criticizing Muhammad, and he was condemned for blasphemy and was jailed, and they were considering to execute him, and the masses in the streets were calling for it, just kill him. Fortunately, he was able to get out.
Real quick, so somebody joined the call, but and I don't know how to pronounce your name, Beranowitz. But if you can write a short message in the private chat about what you want to talk about, please. Sorry, go ahead, Usama.
Yeah, so he was almost going to be killed until after a while, the government forced him essentially to go on TV and make a kind of a public repentance statement of some sort. The government didn't want to execute him, but the people in the streets were really, really dying for it. And fortunately, he escaped. He went out to France eventually. But something of this sort, when it has a kind of an incident that gets publicized and involves the people, that becoming aware of what's actually happening, the awareness of what an apostasy case actually looks like, that's something that's very important to propagate and to have people know, not only in the West, where people can look and be horrified about something of that happening in the 20th century, 21st century, but also the Muslims themselves. Are we actually wanting to do that? the government of Mauritania didn't really want to go through with this, but it was the masses who wanted this. And so having a discussion maybe is one way of bringing the idea into people's minds, and maybe trying to come up with a way to resolve it.
I just got a private chat. Hold on one second.
Sure. I see here.
We might as well talk about the poll question. So let me find the poll question. Here it is. Oh.
Are you able to see results for it?
Yeah, I just looked at it. Yep. So the poll question is, again, if your child wanted to be Muslim, would you stop them? And here's what we got. We got 33% saying yes, 67% saying no. And let me be more clear. The options were yes, I'm willing to use force, including punishing them.
Mm-hmm.
Option 2, no, I wouldn't stop them, but I'd help them see the truth. So one person was willing to say yes. Usama, I'm going to take a guess for you. You were going to say no. I say no.
I'm not going to. Yeah, whatever the child wants to do, eventually that's their business. But it would be irresponsible for me to say, oh yeah, that's your life, and not say anything about this in terms of advice, or to actually probe what does this decision actually entail, to go through a process of back and forth to understand what's happening. But turning into a Muslim for a child, if I want to think about this as a kind of a process, what kind of child are we talking about? Are we talking about an underage child who is a teenager, or someone who just turned 40 and is my child, who has had their independent life for a while, and then they came to me, I'm turning into a Muslim? Well, it's none of my business anymore.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let this person get on. So we're going to put you on now, okay? Baronowicz.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, is my audio okay? No issues?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it?
Oh, it's you can say Bear if it's easier, but if you want to pronounce it, it's like Baranovich.
Okay.
Baranovich.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird
pretty
one.
Good for an American to be able to say it.
Yeah, because it's a mouthful, especially with how the C and Z are.
Yeah.
What is that? Czech?
It's Polish Belarusian.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, thank you for having me on the stream.
About the poll question, right?
Yeah, because I think that was a good avenue for me to come into. So for me, I would say that if I had a child and they wanted to convert to Islam, I wouldn't stop them by force, but I would do everything to dissuade them from it.
Mm-hmm. How would you approach it? And especially if we're talking about someone who might have had some kind of an exposure that wasn't something that you knew about. Maybe they, I don't know, had some Muslim preacher talk to them and convince them. Do you have an idea about how you might be approaching this?
So if I was to approach that, I would ask my child, well, what questions do you have that you feel Islam could answer? And I would have my child ask those questions, and I would answer those questions for them in like Christian manner.
And if the child eventually thinks that they're not getting convinced by what you're saying, what happens next?
I would be saddened, but I wouldn't force them to stop, because the problem with when you try to enforce that and stop the child, it actually encroaches and makes them more staunch on their belief.
So how do you see refusing to take them to the mosque if they ask you to take them?
Oh, well, yeah, like I refuse that because that way it's not like a physical, like, thing.
So you would refuse in that scenario?
Yeah.
So in my view, that is like a forcing them against this.
It is, yes, but it's more in the sense of if they asked me to take them, I would say no. And if they wanted to make their own way there, they could. But I wouldn't say no and like lock them in the room.
If I may make a suggestion about something of that sort, I might actually accompany them, and I would want to be as much of a part of in what's happening as possible. If I would have a chance of overcoming that initial refusal to accept whatever arguments that I'm trying to present, if I refuse, maybe it might be seen as I'm backing away and I'm saying it's okay, go ahead. But if I keep my involvement throughout, I might have a way down the road to have other chances to persuade the child to change their mind. But being completely out of the process, that means that now I'm giving the authority to whoever is giving them these ideas in the first place, and I'm out of the picture now, and I don't have any control or ability to persuade.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like I wouldn't remove myself from the process. It would just be a case of I would highly persuade them to stick with the faith that I'm with, and answer questions that they might be looking for, and they're trying to get that through other sources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way I see it, like if my kid asked me to take them to the mosque and I don't help them do that, what I'm telling my kid is I don't care to help you with your projects. And then that tells my kid, okay, don't ask for help from dad because he doesn't help.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, you make a good point there.
You want to be helpful, and that the only way they're gonna get out of that scenario, I shouldn't say the only way. It would be very helpful to the kid to get out of that scenario if they were still listening to the parent about it. And the only way you're gonna get your kid to listen to you is to actually be helping them with their life, even in things that you disagree with.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is as well is that I don't hate Islam. Islam, it's their thing. I'm not going to hate on it, and I would, if I had a child, I would raise him with my beliefs. But if he went out on his own, seeking other beliefs, I would say you can do that, but I'd just like try and persuade them. I'd never like physically stop them from doing it.
Now, I want to be clear. I'm sure some people will listen to what we're saying and they'll come up with extreme examples and say that I'm wrong. And the examples they'll give is something like, well, if your kid asked you to help them murder somebody, would you help them?
That was what I was going to say, because in many cases in recent years, especially with the rise of ISIS and its influence in some mosques in Europe, if you have your child joining a place like that, you don't know if they're going to end up being a fighter in some other place for ISIS or some other group, and putting themselves basically in the line of danger in the name of jihad. So that would be it would be completely irresponsible not to have some kind of a direct influence if that's the case. So I would definitely want to know, especially if I'm talking about someone who's underage, I want to know what kind of influence is happening here. So if they're going to a mosque, okay, what's happening there?
It's not that much different than regular school. If I send my kid to a school, I should have already investigated that school, make sure it's a good school, make sure
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
have crazy shit going on.
Yeah.
And that would hold true for a mosque. It's a type of school too, you know. It's kind of like a school. They're there to educate on certain things. So you should know what the hell they're educating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, you should also push your child to, if they have questions, to ask them towards you, you know, because not all the time, but quite a bit of the time, when these questions are raised, it's always from like one narrative or the other, when what you need to do with your child is give them the unbiased answer of, you know, a certain thing.
Yeah. What I would add to that is two things. In general, we need, as parents, we need to help our kids learn how to think in general about any topic.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
includes, asking questions. And what was the second thing? Oh, my brain farted. I forgot the second thing. I should have wrote it down.
Was it something like you should make sure your child's in like a good environment, or they're not swayed to one side or the other?
Oh, it was about bias. Okay. So the second thing that I wanted to add to what you said, which is very general, what we need to do with our kids, is we need to make it clear that we don't know everything. We're not infallible. And that means we will have biases. The parent will have biases. And that sometimes the kid will be right and doesn't have that bias that the parent has. So what you're trying to teach the kid, well, I guess the basic thing is you're trying to instill in your kid that everybody, like, how am I saying this? Like when I tell my kid, look, you might be wrong, what needs to be the framing there is also I might be wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Because if you think of what happens to a 4-year-old kid with the standard parents, the story they're given is parent is always right. Always do what the parent says. That is a horrible conception.
Yeah, because by that standard, depending on the parents, they could raise their children in such a manner that, you know, they're set in one thing or one way or what they believe in, and it's hard to uncork someone from that, what they've been raised with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I want to, let me ask you.
Oh, you can just say bear. It's easy.
Bear, yeah. Bear. What I want to ask you is, when you were growing up, did you hear the idea that parents want their kids to grow up and be better than them?
No, I actually didn't hear that.
So if you were to make a guess, all these people, these parents, what do they want out of their kids? For the kids to be just as good as the parents or worse than them?
Oh yeah, no, I know that, where it's like they are raising them to be better than them. But I think that there's two ways about it, where you're doing it in a positive light or you're doing it in a negative light.
Well, I don't think there is a positive way, because, like, look at it this way. So, you know, I already said this, I'm not perfect, right? So I have some flaws. If I was to force my kids to do everything I think is right, then whatever flaws I have, which I don't even know are flaws right now, I'm instilling those in my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to have a way of doing things where whatever flaws I have, which I don't know I have yet, it's not being indoctrinated into the kids.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the only way to do that is to not be indoctrinating at all. That, like, you can't be indoctrinating what you think is good so that they don't have the bad.
No, of course, you need to with the child, you need to raise them like as unbiased as possible. Don't give them your worldview or another worldview. Give them the baseline facts and let them choose on their own. Because, you know, if you instill yourself into a child's early age, it's very hard to get them out of the worldview that you've put in them.
Yeah, well, your worldview could be all these things we've already been talking about, though, that already has in it, hey, I'm not perfect. I have flaws. I have biases. And because of all that, I'm not going to force anyone to live the way that I think people should live, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so long as you raise your child in like a loving environment and you don't sway them to any type of extremity, that's the best thing I could say.
Yeah.
Can I ask if you have been following us before, or if this is the first time you watch us?
Oh, first time. It was just I was finding a stream to jump into because I like just jumping on and chatting to people, and this was the open one, and I saw the topic and I went, "Oh, this will be like very interesting."
Right. Yeah. So we usually try to have callers. We don't have them every single time, but yeah, it's wonderful to have people joining in, and it's also nice to know what kind of interests you had in the first place that had you join the stream, and what sort of ideas you would like.
I'm guessing maybe the title, did that interest you at all? What?
Oh, that did, yeah. But I mean, I love going on like just talking to people about like religion or like philosophy, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So apart from the poll question, was there anything that jumped out that you thought might be interesting to discuss?
So I did miss the beginning of the stream, sorry, but with the title, when you were saying about the ex-Muslim posts, what was the thing behind that?
Well, we have various posts from Reddit that have ex-Muslims basically posing certain questions or ideas as they are leaving Islam, or having left Islam, or contemplating it, and we were commenting on various posts that are related to this. We have been doing that now for a few weeks, but before that we were doing something.
Well, this whole live stream is for the purpose of helping people who are struggling with Islam. So I try to find posts where it's clear somebody's struggling with Islam and we're there to help them. So we did 3 posts today. One of them was somebody complaining about Muslims shoving science into Islam. The second post was somebody who has unearned guilt and they don't know how to get rid of the guilt. And then the third one was, as an atheist, do you have a problem with the idea that bad people are not going to go to hell?
Oh, yeah, like stuff like that. See, I'd say that with Islam, there is a lot of combating when it comes to certain questions because they can't be answered in a certain way or can't be brought out in full detail. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because with Christianity has evolved alongside civilization as well. So the two have always been interlinked for quite a while. Whereas with Islam, they've been self-secluded. So it hasn't caught up to modern viewpoints or certain ways of belief.
Yeah, I wouldn't absolve Christianity from many of the ailments that Islam has, but for fairness, especially over the past couple of 100 years, maybe a little bit more, Christianity hasn't been presenting the kind of negativity that we have in the case of Islam towards thinking in general and approaching things in.
So wouldn't you say? What should be in this story is the Enlightenment that happened in Europe, which didn't happen in the Muslim majority countries in the past 500 years.
Yeah,
I would say that's what caused it. It being, what is the it here? The thing that Bear said right at the beginning of this little short bit was, what was it?
Was it Christianity has evolved alongside civilization?
Yeah. I don't think Christianity or Islam evolves. It's people that evolve. The culture evolves. And the cultures that we're talking about is Europe and Middle East.
Oh yeah,
Because,
yeah.
like,
No, I know there's
Christianity hasn't changed in the Middle East. I was watching a documentary today. Many Christians that used to live in the Middle East were like evicted, left, like maybe 80% of them. I don't know. I don't remember which countries, but like.
Oh yeah, there was the big thing with there was a lot of Christians moved out of Syria. I think there was some part of Iran.
Yes.
I think Jordan. There was a bit in Jordan.
Yes.
Probably
Now that's
Iraq probably is the main place.
That's a culture of people pushing out Christians, and in Europe you don't have that. I mean, you had something else happening 75 years ago. It's the Christians, or at least Nazis, pushing out Jews. Okay. But what is it? Muslims were kind of fine in most of Europe for most of that time. I know there's been like some bad conflicts in Europe.
Muslims did not have a pronounced presence in Europe until much later after Second World War.
Yeah. It was there was a presence, but it was very minute, and it was after the Second World War. We had a big influx and like spikes here and there, and that's how like we've got a lot of Islam in Europe today.
Yeah. I think the main places were the UK received a lot of people from Pakistan and India, and France received a lot of people from North Africa.
Yeah.
But the rest of Europe, I don't think really did have much of an influx, as far as I know.
The big influxes probably come from like the 90s and the noughties, where there was obviously the beginnings of the like mass immigrations and stuff.
Yeah, the most recent years witnessed a lot of events that had big changes, but throughout the decades, maybe in the 70s and 80s and 90s, it was, I feel, mainly those items that I mentioned, where the UK and France, but other countries probably didn't have a kind of a connection like the historical connection that the UK and France had with those other regions through colonialism, that made that kind of transition somewhat more natural.
Oh yeah, no, certainly. Because obviously, if you look at Germany at the time, that was split, so you couldn't really move into or out of Germany. So that's why we didn't have like immigration influxes in Germany. With obviously like the Slavic countries, that was the Soviet Union. You couldn't move to there.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was closed up to begin with until the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing we were just talking about, there's the opposite aspect of it. I had just mentioned that in Europe there was, the Enlightenment, and we're calling that a good thing. But what was also happening was a very bad thing. All the colonialism, nationalism, racism, all of that was there too. And they're exporting it to the whole world. The US is doing plenty of that too, still doing things.
Oh yeah. See, don't get me wrong. I know during that time period of the Enlightenment, you did have all those negative things, which we look back on and say that was a bad thing. But I never argue in the
still a bad thing, still today.
They are, yes, but I'd say it's a lot smaller scale than what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a lot more stealth.
Yeah, but with America, yeah, I'd say that.
It's a lot more stealth, yeah, where a country will just deem somebody a terrorist, and just because now of that label, they get to do whatever they want with them. No trials or anything.
Yeah, oh no, you certainly, yeah. We've seen too many of that.
And, that's kind of a new thing. I don't think that existed 100 years ago. So like they've invented newer strategies for the same old goals that they were doing hundreds of years ago.
Yeah,
And,
they've changed the name where years and years ago they would say like, oh, we're the government and the rebels are a threat, we need to take them out. Whereas now it's like, oh, we're the government and they're terrorists, we need to take them out.
Yep. It's a pretty messed up scenario.
Oh no, definitely. It's obviously the world changed after 9/11. It was honestly.
Well, we were glad you came, and hopefully you'll enjoy the channel again in the future, and you're welcome to come on again.
Oh, thank you. Before it goes, anything else you want to ask me? And
I don't know. Do you have any questions?
I don't know, but yeah, you're more than welcome to come on again. Hopefully, we're going to have that kind of poll question once again.
Yeah, every week.
And
you want to hear next week's?
Oh, go on then.
Peek for everybody who's listening.
Yeah, but also check out the previous types of videos. This is not the only type.
Oh yeah, no, I will.
Yeah. All right, let me tell you the question for next week.
Go on,
Do you
then.
think that the ends justifies the means, that concept, do you think it works for an ex-Muslim parent using force to prevent their kids from being Muslims?
Oh,
it's related to this question this week, but it's getting more specific.
Right. I would say.
Well, I don't want you to answer it. I want you to come back next week and answer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay then. Okay, I'll think on it. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Right. Take care, you. Toronto.
Okay. Take it easy. All right. Mulhid al-Islam says, Toba, Toba, astaghfirullah. He says that every time. And hello. And then I'm always right. All thanks to Hajra al-Aswad and al-Qadar. And what's Qadar? What is that?
Fate.
Fate?
Yeah.
Fate. Nasib means destiny, same thing?
Yeah.
I would never turn my back on Deen al-Haq. Zalimun.
Yeah. Zalimun.
The people that are doomed?
No, the oppressors.
Oh, not the oppressed, the oppressors.
Yes.
How do you say the oppressed?
Mazlumun.
And Zalimun. Yeah. That grammar, conjugation, that stuff is difficult for me, I guess. I like mulhidism. I don't know where that came from.
Well,
one day Zakir Naik will find us. I know who that is. Does he talk about apostasy law, I guess?
I don't know how else to describe this guy, but he's a big charlatan. He's a big Dawa guy who I think right now he is wanted for fraud or some kind of a case in, I want to say in India, where he's from. So he's not really living there now. He went somewhere else. But he's famous for these videos where he really spews all these quotes from the Quran and the Bible and appears very knowledgeable. But if you actually look down into the details, he's just really saying a lot of nonsense. But
I heard a guy, Vidu, I don't remember his last name. Vidu is ex-Muslim comedian. And he's in our network. We're going to try to get him on to the Apostasy Day. And I saw him doing a impression of Zakir Naik, and it's so fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So just like him.
Go watch it. Go watch a video of his, and you will see what's something that can be funny, but it's also funny in a kind of an ironic way. He brings these supposed atheists and tries to demolish their argument in front of a huge audience. It's like a version of televangelism, but the Muslim version. So he's very popular amongst Muslims. But really, the kind of things that he presents is presented in a very shallow way. He's a student of another preacher like that, the one that I grew up seeing, Ahmed Didat. I think I mentioned him before. We had him on VHS tapes debating.
I remember Ahmed Didat.
Yeah. So he was very popular. He's one of his students essentially.
So Cold Storm says hello. I don't know what that was replying to. It's easy. Muhammad was an attention seeker, and his followers are the same. I don't know what was easy. Gurbach says hi all. I saw Gurbach a lot on the live stream I did with Secular Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So Gurbach, I'm glad you're here. And what else do we have here? Vidu Vids. I guess that's a channel, maybe. And then Ahmed Didat. SAW? What's SAW?
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Peace
Is
be
that
upon
how they say SAW? I was thinking Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but I thought they would have said different letters there. I guess because there's so many syllables. I wouldn't have thought it as SAW.
I think what it stands for is Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I think so. I never use it anyway, but I'm just.
All right. Well, I guess we're done here. No one else is talking. We did all the topics. Oh, well, here, let me go through some things. This hold on. I gotta. So, Deconstructing Islam is part of Uniting the Cults, a nonprofit to end apostasy laws. Please read, sign, and share the Manifesto, August 22nd, Apostasy Day Manifesto. It's in the description. On August 22nd, which is less than a month from now, we're going to be doing a live stream event. We being all the ex-Muslim organizations. There's no link or date yet, so I don't have anything to show you guys yet. And we did our anniversary, what is that, 6 weeks ago, where I was joined by Maryam Namazi, Wissam Sharafuddin, Apostasy Alauddin, and Zara K. And it was really good. I had a lot of fun. I recommend everyone go watch it. Link is in the description. I don't have any housekeeping, and next week we're going to be doing the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mulhad Islam says, thank you guys for your hard work. May you get 72 of those things.
No, thank you.
Maybe we get to have 72 of whatever we want rather than just those things, right? I would rather have one good slot over 72 virgins. But maybe we can make that a poll question.
Possibly.
All right, let's go ahead and end it here. And Osama, please stay on for a second.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay. See you next time.